Hello, my name is Ilona and today is Friday, June 23rd, 2023. And I just wanted to start with some things I saw in the Dutch media, but it's just interesting to see. We have a public, how do you say this? Media concern. They broadcast the news, they do sports, it's called NOS, and it's paid by the taxpayer. And apparently they've spent 100 million euro per year to pay to have the rights to play certain how do you say this, in sports. You want to show events happening, you have to pay for that. So you want to see a soccer game, you have to pay for that. Well, they're paying 100 million euro. That's the half of what they get as a budget from the taxpayer. And apparently in a period of 5 years, so from 2017 to 2022, they spent 611 million euro. And it's now coming out. So that's interesting, because I'm sure a lot of people here in the Netherlands who can barely pay rent, pay food for their children, are going to be very happy that their taxpayer, their money is apparently used to buy for sports. Of course, people are, aware that they pay for that, but that amount of money, that's a lot of money. So they can send, you can watch a soccer game, or you can watch like the Tour de France, things like that. Very interesting. So I have a feeling people will not be very happy about that. Another article, this is interesting. I already mentioned that a couple of weeks ago we had an article actually from like the Dutch intelligence here, the AIVD it's called. They actually called people with skepticism towards what's happening the past 3 years and towards the government very dangerous people. Well, we have now a more nuanced article. This is from the Sociale Cultureel Planbureau. Planbureau, and it's called. It's really a social cultural. Yeah, I'm not sure how to translate Planbureau, but it's really an organization. It's part of the government, but I do like these researches. And they actually mention in this article, this is on the Dutch, regular media, that one of 5 Dutch people are very skeptical towards the government. Yes, 1 in 5. And that's because apparently that has grown because of what has happened the past period, and of course the restrictions, and people starting to doubt that restrictions, and especially didn't feel like they were being taken seriously by the government and the media. And this social cultural bureau is advising the government to be curious what the arguments could be from these people. And that there are legitimate concerns from this group of people. It's very interesting. It's more of a nuanced look at it. And they also later on in the article mentioned that it's a diverse group with very different opinions, and that the people with these skeptical opinions are not different in their mental health, their use of media, or their experience with what's been going on the past 3 years, than people without those skeptical ideas and how they view things. So this is very interesting. They're actually saying that there's not much difference between people that have these skeptical ideas against these people that don't have this attitude towards the government. It's a very diverse group. And the only thing they have pretty much in common is that they don't trust the government. So it's interesting. It's more of a nuanced. So I think things are changing. Wouldn't surprise me if the Whiteheads kind of push this one out. And also something very interesting they mentioned in the article, that, let's say here, about 3% of the Dutch people believe that the policies wasn't even made, what's been happening the past 3 years, by the Dutch government, but by international organizations. Well, that's because they are the ones deciding, and of course the dark energies above that are deciding the agenda, and the Dutch government and other governments are just puppets. But it's interesting, they actually mentioned that in the article. So the first thing I wanted to look at again is something here in the Netherlands, but maybe it's also, part of this ridiculous thing is happening right now with these laws they come out with. I believe in Ireland they're still pushing this law to restrict people's freedom and what they should say or not say. It's really very bad. I think it's even became law, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe I will look at it in a future video. But it's just these ridiculous things they come up with. And again, here in the Netherlands, we have something ridiculous that's connected to Hugo de Jonge, well-known name by now. He was the health minister during what was happening 3 years, the past 3 years. He came up with all these restrictions, and he was also the one claiming that he knew everyone that did not get a sting, and that he would go door to door to make sure everyone would get a sting. Yeah, that guy. So now he is Minister of the housing here in the Netherlands. And he came up with a brilliant idea, and this is just something he wants to push through. So it's not law yet, but he wants to get this through the parliament. I'm not sure if he's going to make it or not, but I'll talk about that with my cards. But anyway, he's trying to come up with this proposal. So if you have you want to sell your house and it's under or 355,000 euros and underneath the 350,000 euros, then the city council will have the right to decide who's going to buy your house, so that people with lower incomes can buy that as well. Yeah, it's not going to be an issue whatsoever. So you as an owner cannot decide who's going to buy your house, and he wants to create that people with lower incomes can then also buy that house. Then of course, first of all, you're going to get that people will sell their house at 355,000 and a euro, because then you don't have that. It has to be until then, and if so anything above that, 355,000 and 50 cents, you're still above that amount. And of course the fact that the city council, that's already doing an incredible job. I'm not sure how the bureaucracy is working in your country or in other countries, but the interesting thing here in the Netherlands, you usually have to wait a long time before you're going to get an answer. It's like 6 weeks or 8 weeks. So if you finally found a buyer, then you have to, of course, have the city council approve that, and then you can pretty much wait for another 2 months before you'll have an approval. Things like that. Yeah, if you're going to get an approval, so it's not going to work out. So obviously there's going to be it's already a lot of resistance, and people are like, this is ridiculous. It's the same thing. We have our Rob Jetten, who's about the climate and things like that. So he came up with something similar also, I think this week or maybe last week, I'm not really sure. He came up with this brilliant plan for the climate. So 28 billion euro. So 28 billion euro. So that would cause the lowering of the temperature of the 36 million of how do you say this? I've got the Dutch in my name, graad. So it's 1 Celsius, it will just go less than 1 down. So instead of 28 degrees Celsius, it would be 27.2 degree lower, because it's 0.000036. It will lower that. The temperature will be lowered by that. Not even 1 degree. That's it, degree. I was looking for that. Yeah, that's going really well. People are really sold on that one. 28 billion euro. And then we'll be the only country doing that, because the rest of the world won't. So really, it's not going to cause anything. It's not going to happen. It's not going to have any result. So it's really these hilarious, outrageous ideas they come up with. And this again is also something so outrageous that you have to ask permission from the city council who's going to buy your house. And of course, this is all part of the agenda they want to work towards, because obviously they don't want you to have any houses. They want you to own nothing and be happy. Yeah, it's not going to happen. But the interesting thing is that I was just looking at the energy, and the first card that fell out was the Five of Pentacles. And this is exactly, it wouldn't surprise me at all if there are some whitehead influences in this, because this is waking people up, because it's their security and it's their safety. and you're taking away that safety, you're taking away that security, and really it's just going to create more problems. It's not going to solve anything. But it shows people that this government is not there for them. It's leaving them in the cold. It's not there for the Dutch people. It's really there to roll out an agenda, and this is part of it, and people are not having it. So there's already a lot of resistance happening, rightfully so, and even it still has to go through the parliament first, and it's already not going to get a majority, because even the biggest party here, still the biggest party on paper, from Mark Rutte, is already against it, because it takes away the freedom of people to sell their houses, of course. So it's very interesting. But the first card I've got was the Three of Cups. Then I have the Three of Wands as the central card. I've got the Death card in the past. I've got the Hermit underneath the Three of Wands, and for the future, the Strength card and the Two of Cups. To me, this feels like this is not going to go anywhere. This is a celebration card. So to me, this is just showing people, realizing what is going on with the government, waking them up, and you really have to hit people in their security, in their basis. You know, what's more basic than your own house, and be able to sell your own house. But we'll just have to wait and see, because I don't think this is going to go anywhere. But this is just to show people what this government is really about. And I think worldwide, probably in other countries, they have this similar pattern of these ridiculous ideas they come up with. We've got the Hermit. It's about people reaching within or realize, yeah, we don't want this. It brings people back in their power, and it unites people, and it will be healing for people to realize, you know, to step away. We don't want this government. We don't want it this way. We don't want these puppets there trying to run our lives. This is not what we want. So they really are going to create more and more resistance, more and more people seeing through this. This is already falling apart. We have the Death card in the past. This old system needs to go, and people really need to see what's really going on. And this is part of it. So that's what I just wanted to say about that. And I also looked at the submersible that apparently now they found the wreckage, and the people, apparently it imploded, so the people that were on it died. But it was just fascinating why there was so much, how to say this, interest for it. So it was of course a distraction from the Durham case, but I had a feeling it was purposely done for people to show that it is a distraction. And there's so much strange things about this. I actually looked at the people that were on board. George Hamish Livingston Harding. He is a British businessman, pilot, explorer, adventurer, and space tourist based in the United Arab Emirates. He was founder of Action Group and was chairman of Action Aviation, an international aircraft brokerage company with headquarters in Dubai. So it's interesting. And he was a member of the Explorers Club. Now I thought that was interesting, because I've never heard of the Explorers Club. But apparently they are an American-based international multidisciplinary professional society with the goal of promoting scientific exploration and field study. The club was founded in New York City in 1904. And just if you look at the people that were actually, you know, famous honorary members: Theodore Roosevelt, John Glenn, Prince Philip, Duke of Edinburgh, Sir Edmund Hillary, Buzz Aldrin, and Albert, Prince of Monaco. You kind of get a feeling where this is going to. They also have funds they pay out to certain people to explore, so they really have a lot to say in what's being, how do you say this, scientifically being put out. The Explorer Club has 23 chapters in the United States and around the world, which serve as local contact points for explorers, scientists, and students. And it's of course a perfect way to influence people. So this is just fascinating. They have an Explorers Club flag, and apparently there are 220 numbered flags. These are given to expeditions, I believe, and including one to L. Ron Hubbard, and also to Jeff Bezos. James Cameron also has apparently a flag, and there was a flag aboard the NASA missions Apollo 8, Apollo 11, Apollo 13, and Apollo 15. They each carried miniature club flags. So that should tell you about the influence here. Then, of course, the son and father, and this is again a name, I'm not sure if I pronounced it correctly, Shahzada Dawood and his son Suleiman. And they're from one of the richest Pakistan families, so the wealthiest families in Pakistan, one of the. And it's very interesting. He is vice chairman of Engro Corporation. Again, is cited on the World Economic Forum, Engro Corporation. So that should tell you something. From the largest fertilizers company. And let's see what was also interesting. He's on the board of trustees of the SETI Institute, whose, of course, main purpose is to find out about aliens and alien life. Well, they've done a great job so far. But this is really interesting that it's all connected. And last, I wanted to talk about the pilot, which I just thought was interesting. Stockton Rush, who apparently got his name because he is a descendant of Benjamin Rush and Richard Stockton, two signers of the Declaration of Independence. And apparently his wife is a descendant of Isidore and Ida Bloom Strauss, both died sinking of the Titanic. Of course, there are many stories about the Titanic as well. That wasn't the Titanic, but the Olympic that actually sank, and also that JP Morgan wanted to get rid of some adversaries that were against the Federal Reserve. And they sank along with the Titanic or whatever ship that was sank at that moment in time. But it was a perfect way to getting rid. He was supposed to be on there as well, but cancelled at the last minute. So there are a lot of stories, and I do think more things will be coming out about that as well. Another thing I found that there were safety concerns raised. And this is already going back to 2018. This is from David Lockridge, the company's director of marine operations, had raised concerns in inspections report. Apparently the material that was used, it's not certified. It's not, necessary for submarines to be certified, but probably a good thing to do. And let's just say in a 2020 interview, Mr. Russell, the pilot, said tests were conducted which revealed that the Titan's hull showed signs of cyclic fatigue. So it's not a great thing to actually, go down with that. It was interesting, and it's not certified. It isn't mandatory, but probably a smart thing to do. And then also I saw that the missing submarine was the device to steer this submarine is a $29.99 gaming controller, the Logitech some certain number gamepad. Just imagine this submarine on for a gaming console. It's just a strange story just to begin with. So like I said this morning, apparently they found the wreckage and they all died in an implosion. But I just wanted to take a look at the energy of this, what is going on with this submarine. It felt so strange to me. So the cards I've got were the Two of Cups. The central card is the Sun, which I find very interesting. We've got the Ten of Cups in the past. We've got the Knight of Wands underneath the central card, and the Three of Wands, and the Wheel of Fortune for the future. So to me this feels like a white hat operation. I do believe it is a white hat operation. It's just insane. The people that were involved do have very strong dark ties, so it's also a way of getting, rid of certain people. Maybe they're taken somewhere else. I'm not sure about that, but this is just very, very strange. And I do believe that it's also to show that people in the media focus on one story, so you won't hear about the other. And more people are noticing that. This is about healing, ultimately, and I think it is connected with children. I think, if I'm not mistaken, the Ghislaine Maxwell obviously also had a certificate for submarines. She was allowed to, move those around, and they used it with children. And this is my children card, one of my children cards. So I have a feeling that there's going to be more about submarines. Something is going to be brought to light, and it wouldn't surprise me if more of the history about what really happened with the Titanic will come out as well, because we've been lied to about so many things. But this is connected to children as well. So this is going to be like necessary to connect dots. You have to understand that we are watching something that is almost like it's all coming together ultimately. That's the feeling at least I'm getting. And we should just wait and see, but things are moving. And I think things are speeding up. Also concerning the children, we've got The Sound of Freedom coming out July 4th. We have a documentary, Hidden War, coming out, also from Tim Ballard, who was being portrayed in Sound of Freedom by Jim Caviezel. It's around his story about what he deals with, what's going on around the world with the children. It's just horrific, but I think we just have to kind of wait and see, but things are moving ahead, and this is part of that as well. So I believe that this is necessary for the next step with submarines, because a lot of things happened with children and submarines, and just things happening in general. All, people not aware of this. So this is going to come to light. So this is going to bring more than just this story. I'd like to leave it at this and hope to see you in another video. Bye.